Good morning, students. Today we are gonna start new chapter, that is chapter number 6, Natural Calamities. In this chapter you will understand how natural calamities occur, reasons for their occurrence, action to be taken during a natural calamity. Now let us start. What is the definition of natural calamity? A natural calamity is an event that occurs naturally and is not in control of human. It is a sudden change in the surroundings which causes damage to human beings and their property. Some of the natural calamities are flood, drought, earthquake, tsunami. So now basically natural, what comes from the nature, whatever happens because of the nature, and calamity is a problem. Calamity is a major issue. Okay, so any such problems which are arise out of nature is called natural calamity. Fine. It cannot be controlled by humans. This is a sudden change in your environment which can cause damage to your human beings and their properties like as house, roads, everything. Examples you can see is flood, drought, earthquake and tsunami. Number 1 is flood. So there is a picture on page number 44. You can see a lot of water and the people are like standing on the floor and the boats are sailing in the river. So flood, जिसको आप हिंदी में बाढ़ कहते हैं. During heavy rains, when the river starts to overflow and submerges the surrounding areas, it is said that a flood has occurred. So when the river is so heavy that the water level increases from the land area, that becomes a situation of flood. In this case, the water reaches to your house also. The properties inside of your house start flowing into the water. So that situation comes out from the flood. So now, why this happens so? Due to their need and greed, human beings are cutting trees, leading to deforestation. What is deforestation? When you are cutting trees. De means removal. Forestation means forest or trees. So when you remove the trees from the land areas, so because of these deforestation, there is rise in temperature and the snow has started to melt faster, which increase the water level of the rivers and results in floods. Flood also occur when the water level in the dam is higher than the danger mark and a leak develops in the dam. This causes a lot of damage to life, property and crops. As flood causes water logging, it gives too many diseases like malaria, dengue, cholera, etc. So now you all know the origin of the river is from the glaciers, right? The source of the rivers are glaciers. So the glaciers are melting every time, but sometimes when you are cutting the trees in enormous numbers, so what happened? So there is no trees, then the temperature gets increased in your surrounding, and then when this temperature increases, the glacier starts melting rapidly. So when the water is coming into the big amount into the land area, this creates the situation of flood, right? This is the one of the situation. Other one situation is like if there is some leak in the dam area. You have seen that hydro energy example. So when there is a dam to make electricity and using for the irrigation, this creates also the situation of flood. So when this water reaches to your house, it started creating the diseases also like malaria, dengue, cholera. Why these diseases happens? Because the water started getting stored in your house and the mosquitoes starts reaching to those such places, and these all diseases are created by mosquitoes. Now what should we do when a situation of flood? Keep listening to the video for updates. Second, as you see the water enters to your house, for the very first thing what you have to do, you have to switch off the main power connection, so there is no problem with the electricity or you cannot be affected by the current. then you must have the candles, the matchsticks with you at the home, just because if the electricity is not there, this can give you light. You should have dry food items so that you can sustain in such situations. And what is the main thing? You should never do the swimming in that flooded water, just because that water is not good for your health, and if that you swallow such water, you will be infected. So now, how you can control flood? Number 1 is planting more trees, not allowing construction of houses near river banks, and constructing dams in areas where the current of the rivers is strong. So the must thing is you should plant more trees. So this is the monsoon time, and I'll be recommending you to plant trees. Even I have told you this in your class also. So now, excess of water is flood, and when there is no water or a very little water, the situation is drought. In Hindi you say it's like sukha. The flood is baad and the drought is sukha. So when a particular area does not receive rainfall for a longer period of time, leading to scarcity of water, it is said that the area is affected by drought. So if there is situation that the rainfall is less than 100 centimeters in a particular area for a longer period of time, the situation becomes really worse and there is a big scarcity of water. So that condition is called drought. Why drought happens? The number one thing is for location. You might be knowing that Rajasthan comes into the desert area. So of course in the desert area there is very less rainfall, so there is situation of drought. And number 2 is deforestation, what I have earlier mentioned you about, that if you are cutting the trees in a big numbers, so there is no connectivity between the rainfall and that particular area. What are the effects of particular drought? All the river resources will be dry. There will be no such water for humans and animals. Number 2, the crops will die and there will be no fodder, there will be no food for you to eat. Number 3, if there is no water, the soil will become so hard and dry that you cannot grow anything which you can eat. And if this condition sustains for longer period of time, so the nation will also be affected by the grains and the foods. So how you can control the drought? You can plant more trees. Students, now you have to understand what is the difference between deforestation and afforestation. Deforestation means removal of trees. Afforestation means when you are planting the trees. So this is very important for you to mark these two terms, and you have to remember these two terms for the life: afforestation and deforestation. So you have to plant more and more trees. And number 2 is encouraging water harvesting, which will increase the level of groundwater. You know that inside the water there is groundwater, and that you can use for the irrigation thing. Now next is earthquake. Earthquake, when you might have feel about such disturbance in the form of earthquake. You sudden feel okay that you are sitting at the place or lying down at the bed, and the next place things are vibrating, okay, or moving. So that is the condition of earthquake. So earthquake actually comes in a very lower level of earth, but the intensity is so high of the earthquake, so you feel at the land surface area. Fine. So number 1 part. Now why earthquake happens? When tectonic plates collide with each other. You know, this is very technical thing, but you can understand there are some plates inside our earth which are called tectonic plates, and they are continuously moving. So when they are moving, or maybe there is some case that two plates starts colliding, और आपस में दो plates लड़ने लगती हैं, so that creates a situation of earthquake. Or next is if some country is doing the nuclear bombing, or sudden volcanic eruption happens, so that can also be the situation of earthquake. So The particular point which you can say origin point of the earthquake is called focus, and focus will be inside the earth and exactly on the above surface on the land area. The same point will be called as epicenter. Okay, now the important thing, the scientific study of earthquake is called seismology. The apparatus from which you measure the earthquake is called seismograph. Fine. So 4 important terms are for you here is seismology, focus, epicenter, seismograph. Fine. Next is strong steps to be taken at the time of earthquake. Don't panic. So do not run or do not be scared. Go to the open area fastly. Stay away from the glasses and the glass windows and the doors. If you're not able to run outside from your house, so you can take a shelter inside the table. Fine. So by this if you follow this thing and earthquake happens to your house, so you can save your life. And the last thing is tsunami. Tsunami happens in the oceans. Tsunamis are high waves caused by sudden movement of the bed of the ocean due to earthquakes. The waves travels in all directions, which causes a lot of damage its property and life. So like earthquake happens in the land area, tsunami happens in the water area. Fine. So such vibration if occurs in water area, so tsunami takes place. You should be knowing in 2011 a tsunami struck Japan because of an earthquake with the magnitude of 8.8. See, till 7 these vibrations can be taken care, but if it is increased by 7, that is too dangerous for the lives. When all such disaster happens, so how do you manage? So this system of managing all the disaster is called the disaster management. Fine. So all the government actually works upon the disaster management, where like if such situation happens in the nation, like we are going on with the pandemic of COVID-19, so you can see there are some disaster management which are taken care by the government. Okay, so the local police will take care of law and order in that particular area. Camps will be placed, like at the flood area your house is vanished, so some camps will be placed. You may go to that place. Food, medicines, clothes will be provided from the government side. Many international organizations like Red Cross Society, WHO, UNICEF are there who takes care of the people in such disaster situations. So this is all about the chapter. For more details, you have to be there in the live classes, so I can explain you in a better way.